how many 10-year periods you have of your investing career, right? That's a big chunk of your investing career. Let's say you're in your 30s, 40s, you want to invest until you're 40, 50, 60. That's 10 years is a big chunk to not ride that move up, right?
We're setting a bit of a historic precedent here.
Was it really that event that caused the rally to go up?
The economy is going to start suffering pain.
That's going to be bonkers.
Okay, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Trades with myself, Kevin Wadsworth, and my friend and business partner, Patrick Karim. Okay, silver and gold, in particular silver, we're going to take a look at today and how it compares with the stock market. There are times to be invested, of course, in silver, and there might be times when it's perhaps better to look elsewhere. Pat, let's talk about silver, shall we?
Yes. Of course, guys. Look, the chart I'm going to show you is it could be quite shocking, but at the same time, it should not be shocking because you have to understand the stock market is configured to outperform purchasing power changes, right? The stock market is a speculative growth vehicle which outperforms over long periods of time. And I'll show you a chart there that starts back in the early 1900s. The stock market is just built and has dividend adjusted. I didn't even dividend adjust as that, but the stock market just outperforms everything, right? Gold and silver, they're more built to track purchasing power. They're not built to outperform or severely outperform purchasing power. So often people, they fall in love with silver. It's real money. They fall in love with gold. Fine. But don't expect it over long periods of time to outperform the stock market. But, all right, let me share my screen. So here, what I'm showing you on my screen is the silver chart priced in SPX shares, all right? So silver divided by SPX, the denominator is SPX. I'm not measuring in fiat. How much shares of SPX is worth my silver? And look here, since 1921, all the way down to today, right? Over this, 1,256 months, silver has went down 96% price in the stock market. So let's say I know guys, nobody's been alive back then, but if you would have held silver for that entire period, my goodness, it's like, fine, you protected your purchasing power. So against fiat, against the US dollar, you're fine, guys, right? But against the stock market, you could have done even better by just holding the stock market during that whole period. But, there's a huge but in here. Look at these huge runs silver had from 1971 all the way to 1979 or 1980. This huge run here from the 2000s all the way to 2011, 12. Those runs actually had the stock market lose over 90% of its value versus silver. The stock market lost over 95% of its value. The NASDAQ in the 2000s lost over 95% of its value priced in silver. And this is a 10-year bull market, 10-year bull era for silver, where silver goes up nominally, priced in fiat, but also goes up against the SPX. This is another 10-year run where it did exactly the same thing. So while factually true, I handpicked the starting date just to showcase that over very long periods of time, silver has outperformed the stock market. There are these 10-year periods, like that's almost an investing, how many 10-year periods you have of your investing career, right? That's a big chunk of your investing career. Let's say you're in your 30s, 40s, you want to invest until you're 40, 50, 60. That's 10 years is a big chunk to not ride that move up, right? So while, yes, my intro was kind of clickbaity, guys, over long periods of time, even the people who are pro stock market should really be aware of what we call capital rotation events that happen as silver starts breaking out. Look, there's a beautiful line here. My goodness, look at that line. Look at that line. 1, 2, 3. So as soon as you had the evidence that thing was reversing upwards, stock market fellas, bond fellows, everybody who's was looking at this particular asset class has to look at silver, has to look at gold, has to look at oil, just to ride this 10-year run of outperformance. And then when that run ends, of course, you could swap back into the SPX. Here again, you had a wake-up line right here. So that doesn't mean it rockets upwards, but that downwards momentum was slowing. And then after that, you're breaching some less steep angle trend lines. And that's higher highs from that previous swing high here, higher lows, uptrend, higher highs again, higher lows, uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. You know how it works, until one day silver is not able to do that anymore against the SPX. And then after that, what you do, you swap back in stocks, you let go of your silver, and then after that, you wait. But look at that. It's happening all over again, guys. Once again, not quite there yet. So that steep descending trend line, that steep underperformance of silver for stock market, it halted back in March of 2019, right? That's when gold started breaking out or holding its ground versus SPX. But after that, now you have less and less steep trend lines morphing into existence. Here's a pivot line. So we're very close, guys. So we might be at another generational type of opportunity where, yes, silver historically is just terrible versus the stock market, but we're very close to having a 10-year run, no matter how long it lasts, right? We just don't know, right? As long as it stays above an inclining rising trend line like this, guys, right? As long as the price goes up and down like that, you just ride it, right? Silver will outperform. And often what happens when silver's outperforming the stock market, almost by default, it's outperforming gold, because when that chart rides upwards, Kevin, gold is breaking out, trending upwards versus SPX. Then silver does the same thing, and then silver versus gold also outperforms. And there's very little instruments that are able to outperform silver when after capital rotation event, when that silver to SPX chart starts trending upwards, there's very little that outperforms it. In the major asset classes, it's very, of course, there's always a micro cap somewhere like doing bonkers results, but that's where you should be. So again, guys, it's about time frame. Long term silver, no bueno. But if you could spot those 10-year bull runs it has, bull eras, then you have to be aware of it. And you got to have some allocation to that, guys. Of course, not financial advice, but respect the charts where they're telling you.
Yeah, great stuff, Pat. Thanks for that. And it's fascinating as well, just to note on those charts that since the year 2000, both gold and silver have been outperforming the stock market and the NASDAQ as well. So that was the last capital rotation event there. And from that point onwards, gold and silver are still winning against the stock market overall. Interesting stuff. Okay, Pat, I hope everybody enjoyed that. And if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.